Hello, my friends. Hello, hello. How are you? Thank you for stopping by. Thank you for hanging out. My name is Jason, and this is the Outstanding Life Show. I put this show together originally, and it's coming up to. It's been 2 years plus that we first started the show, and we've certainly come a long way. We've evolved from, I almost want to call it a humble beginnings, where every day was a challenge, to today the show has taken on its own life, and it's much more reciprocal, it's much more conversational, and it's much more give and take. And it wouldn't be anything if it wasn't for you, the audience who's watching this, the messages you sent me, the heartfelt conversations. And I think that's awesome. I've started taking the video version of this and then putting it up on YouTube, and it's also on Facebook too, in case you're watching it. Hello. If you're listening to this, that's even better. I've got the audio version of this put up in the podcasting. I almost want to call it the podcast verse, but it's been a challenge for me to figure out how all that works. But every day's been an adventure. Every day pushes me outside of my comfort zone. I tried this national podcast post month, and it's been super fun because it's every day you gotta publish something, and it's pushed me to learn more about my audio, where I was uncomfortable before and I was having challenges with it, but now I've got it into a place that I'm comfortable with, but I still need to work on it. But if you're joining us and this is the first time, hello, hello. My name is Jason. This is the Outstanding Life Show. We talk about everything related to mental health. We talk about addiction. We talk about mindfulness. We take I almost want to call it. I wanted to help remove some of the stigma that comes from the mental health conversation. Where I'll lead into this a little bit later. But I was having a conversation today with somebody, and we were sharing. It had been, I almost want to call it like 6 months, 5, 6 months since I was able to catch up with this person, and I was really excited to have a conversation, and I couldn't believe it. And I was like, "Oh wow, I'm so glad! I'm really happy." And when you see your best friend and you haven't talked with them in like 6 months, it was that kind of a conversation where you've got 20 things you want to talk about, but you can't talk about all 20 things at once. That was this conversation, and we were chatting and we were trying to catch up. We had something specific we had to talk about, but it was still a resurgence where we were flooded with emotions about, okay, we wanted to stop, check up on each other. How are you doing? First off, Jason, tell me what's going on. Tell me about your family. Tell me about, how are you coping? How's 2020 been treating you? Are you still good? You're still working, that kind of a thing. But then I want to say about 15 to like 20 minutes into the conversation, we got to the meat and potatoes after doing all the catch ups. And we got to the point where we said, you know what? 2020 has really shown me. And we dug into how looking out for our own mental health has caused us to become aware of the impacts of other people and their mental health. And when I asked them what they thought about, what their take on that was, and what their spin, and what have they learned. And they had brought up that it's okay to let somebody know that you're not having a good day. And it's okay to let somebody know that you need to chat, or you just got something, what is it? You ever get one of those like hangnails, or you ever get like a splinter, or you're just like, I just got something. I'm not 100% today. And being able to admit that to somebody before 2020 was a little off-taking. It was a little off-putting, where if I was having that same conversation today, If I were to have a chat with you like right now, if you and I were sitting across the dinner table and we're chatting, and then if I were to open up to you and say, you know what? I'm just not feeling it. I'm not in my groove. Jason's lost his groove today. It's not a deal breaker where I'm like lost completely. It just means I've been through a handful of things or 20, and I'm at a point where I need to reach out for help. I need to reach out. I need to get some assistance. I almost want to call it like mental health SOS. And today I wanted to talk about ego, and I wanted to talk about pride. And we've talked about shame before. If you joined us on a previous episode, we went deep into the topic of shame, and we went deep into the topic of, I think I want to, like in week 1 of this month, we talked about, I can't remember which day it was, but we talked about having a supportive community and building that solid foundation, and how all of these ebb and flows can work together. Having just a supportive community isn't enough. Having an accountability partner isn't enough just by itself. That's where you can get things like I almost want to call them a coach, or you can get a counselor or some specialist who is keen in that matter. But if you also have the supportive community along with your healthy habits and along with looking after your mental health, this is where I almost want to call it a key, but the core of each of those can be upset with ego, with pride. If I'm feeling very prideful, if I'm making a decision based on ego, that could disrupt my mental health. That could disrupt my looking out for my eating habits or getting exercise. That could disrupt my reaching out for help or admitting that I need help. Having pride and ego is not something that's easy to manage. And this kind of ties in suit with my conversation with my friend, where even after months of not talking with each other, we both came to the same conclusion on our own, like totally separate. And maybe this is why we're such good friends. And maybe this is why it was so much fun to catch up with them, where we caught up with each other and we both came to the realization that it's okay to reach out and it's okay to admit. And there's no better time than now to be able to help normalize that conversation, to be able to help. I don't want to call it like paint the town red with mental health, but more so being able to recognize that it's okay for somebody. A better way to phrase it might be to help create that environment, to help create a culture where recognizing that mental health is almost a fifth element, where it's something that wasn't talked about too much beforehand, but now that it's of top of mind and it's in everyone's purview, it's in everyone's view, but it wasn't talked about before, but now it's become a real and it's become a part of my everyday life. And if I'm holding on to ego and if I'm making a decision from pride, and that pride and ego can disrupt not just my mental health, but it can get in the way of me getting the help that I need. If I'm having that down moment, if I'm having a down hour, and in an earlier episode, we talked about having a bad day and having a bad moment, but we strive to not have a bad week or a bad month or even a bad year. 2020 has been a train wreck of a year. I don't know if you can agree. I'm not sure how 2020 has been for you, but I think a lot about you, my community, and I think about all the times you guys have reached out to me to check up on me. I know that if I don't do anything, if I don't post anything for like a little while, you guys do reach out and you're like, Jason, I want to make sure you're good. How you holding up? What's going on? Let me know what your thoughts are. And I really appreciate that. I really appreciate, excuse me, I really appreciate that we've come to trust one another and we've reached that point. We've reached the age where it's reassuring to know that we have this safety net, this support group all around us, be it virtually. I've become more prone to having virtual conversations where I'm just chatting and catching up with friends, but I'm also keen on reaching out to have brunch with people, to be able to go and catch up with them and go for dinners. And, it might be far and few between now in this new world, but I still look forward to it. there's a gathering in a couple of weeks or in a week, and I'm really excited to be able to go and partake in it because it's not very often that happens. So I want to take a minute and celebrate those moments when they come. I take a minute to carve out that part, and I don't want to say I'm mindful, but I'm starting to budget. I'm budgeting time for that level of, I don't want to call it connection, but I do want to say through budgeting, through being mindful of it, I'm excluding pride. I'm excluding ego. And by removing that chance, by looking out for other things to make sure and by other things, I mean that hungry, angry, lonely, and tired. If I make sure I've got all my meals put in place, if I do my meal prep on Sundays, if I get my exercise, if I'm getting all my sleep, if I'm not feeling lonely because I'm reaching out to my friends, if I'm connecting with my family, so these are all, I almost want to call them safety measures, but the acronym we talked about before was HALT. And by looking out for those things preemptively, that removes chances of little inequities from spiking up and then ruining my day. If I'm feeling very prideful and anger, frustration, or resentment, I let that emotion sit. Like, I do experience it. I don't run away from it. But what I don't do is I don't let it make decisions for me. I don't let it ruin my day, my month, my year. But I respect it for what it is, and I choose to carve a new fate. I choose to, I don't want to call it rebrand my day, but I take it for what it is and allow myself to grow through it, through having a solid foundation, through having that elasticity, through having that flexibility. Because there's nothing more flexible than this year of 2020, where this idea that I thought I had, that of all these things I was going to do this year, they've been kind of put on the back burner now. Maybe I'm not doing all the things I wanted to do, but it gives me a chance to focus on things I can. Kind of like getting a podcast, kind of like getting my video stuff together, kind of like making videos on a regular basis. These are things that I had kind of wanted to do, but now it's kind of kicked it into gear because I've kind of got a lot of other time that I'm free with now because I'm not doing a bunch of other stuff. It doesn't mean this isn't what I wanted to do. It's just I've had to reprioritize. And being elastic and being fluid, being dynamic in this year of 2020 has helped me. I don't want to call it shake my stress, but it's helped me mitigate it, and it's helped me, I don't want to say become more constructive, but rather than be upset about the things that I don't have, I've just become appreciative and full of gratitude for the things I do have. Like you, my community, like you. If you're listening to this, I want to take a minute and thank you. If you're watching this, thanks for stopping by and saying hi. I really appreciate this. It really means a lot. So I do take time, and I do reflect on, despite how crazy things might be, it's not as crazy as it would be if ego made decisions for me. It wouldn't be as crazy, or my life would be even more crazier, is a better way to say it, if pride was making decisions for me 24/7. I've lived that life. I've gone through that journey, and despite how it might have been 10 years ago, it doesn't mean that that's something that motivates me today. It's not something that drives my passion. We've talked about before about having an inner candle flame, and despite how crazy the outside world is, the inner candle flame will never flicker. And I'm much better at focusing that inner candle flame. I'm much better at keeping that ego at bay. I'm much better at, I'm not perfect at it, but it's not about perfection. It's about progress. And that's what one day at a time brings. That's what today gives me over yesterday. So even if I have a bad day today, tomorrow's a new day. I can choose a new fate for the rest of the week. And if that week kind of falls apart, that's all right. I got another one coming. I got a week after that. I don't know if you can relate. I'm not sure if this is connecting with you, but if it is, let me know. I'm just going to go and check out the comments because I think, hold on. I want to see here. We have, yes. So Cherie is saying it's important information. Jason, you exude a gentle and sweet spirit, and you have a beautiful smile. Blessings to you, dear one. Aw, thank you, Cherie. I really appreciate that. That's awesome. Cherie's here hanging out. Cherie's watching the live show. If you enjoy this and you want to join me and say hello, definitely do. I do the Facebook Lives, and I'm also doing the audio version. I also have a way to get a hold of me, or if you want to find out more about the other things I keep talking about, I've got a link down below. It's sobriety.live/now. If you go to that site, it brings you to just a list of links. This is where I have a link to the podcast if you're a listener and you want to listen. If you're much more of a visual person and you want to check out the video version of this, I've got the YouTube links. And I've also, if you're a reader, if you're one of them readers, I've also got the blog posts here. And the blog posts are just the transcription of these videos. So if you're a reader, if you're an audio person, or if you're a visual person, the links are here down below, sobriety.live/now. I even have a link here to a Coursera. Coursera is offering free courses right now until the end of the year. And there's even a whole quadrant of mental health courses, and they're absolutely free. Everything from getting started to the much more advanced concepts. There's no charge from Coursera. I love that they're doing this, and I love that they're just getting the message out there. So if this is something you're interested in, definitely go check it out. I get nothing out of this. There's no benefit to me. But Cherie is saying, you're welcome. Aw, thanks, Cherie. I really appreciate you hanging out. I really appreciate you joining me here on the live show. But if this is something you're interested in, you want to check out more, go ahead and see these links. I've also got 30daysofcalm.com. This is just a legit free 30 days. You get the premium version. Again, there's no credit to me. This is a guest pass. But nonetheless, my friends, this is our chat that we've talked about from ego. This is what I've gained from my perspective of chatting with my friend today. And it was really moving, and it really motivated me to want to have this chat. So I wanted to take a minute, put a message out there, let you know I'm thinking about you. If you enjoyed this, let me know. Put the hearts, put the stars, or if you're like Cherie, leave a comment down below. In the meantime, friends, you take care, you have fun, and I'll see you in another episode. Bye.